this is the WOOTING 60HE and it has been the best gaming keyboard ever since it was released. But other manufacturers like Razer and SteelSeries have actually gotten fairly close since then, and also a brand that you most likely have not heard of before, which is DrunkDeer. And there are two interesting things about DrunkDeer, and one is of course the fact that how are their keyboards implemented, and the second one is that they actually have a 65 and a 75% layout with magnetic switches, adjustable actuation point and rapid trigger. These features on a 75 or a 65% layout are something that gamers have been asking from WOOTING for quite a while. So let's go check out how these are actually implemented by DrunkDeer and start with rapid trigger. The minimum sensitivity you can set from the drivers is 0.2mm, which is basically the same setting as I use with my WOOTING 60HE. And testing this in-game, the switch deactuates very fast and it definitely feels like it's around that 0.2mm. So the rapid trigger implementation on these DrunkDeer keyboards is surprisingly good, especially considering the fact that these only cost $100. And the fact that the drivers did not look promising whatsoever. But let's move on and talk about the Actuation Point. The fastest setting is 0.4mm, and with the WOOTING 60HE I actually use 0.1mm on my movement keys, so it does feel more responsive, but it's not a major thing compared to 0.4mm. You can also set the actuation point per key, which is a very good thing, because I want to use a responsive setting for my movement keys and then something higher, like for example 1.2mm for some utility keys. Again, I will have to say that I'm positively surprised. Overall the keyboard is very well implemented, although not quite as well as the WOOTING of course. But it will feel very responsive in-game compared to any other keyboard that does not have configurable actuation point or rapid trigger. The switches are also very smooth, which is important for rapid trigger, and in my experience the actuation force is a little bit lighter than on the WOOTING 60HE and the Lecker switch. So let's quickly cover the drivers, as there is not much to look at right here. So you can reassign all the keys, and on the sensitivity tab you can control basically what I already mentioned. Then there is a bunch of LED options you can do. I don't really care about any of these, I prefer to use this keyboard with LED off. But light by press is for example very nice if you want to test out the rapid trigger. Then you can control some macros and stuff, but overall it's a very basic kind of driver. Moving on to typing experience with this keyboard, and it is a little bit interesting because initially when I got this keyboard it felt very plasticky and very cheap, and I did not enjoy the typing experience whatsoever, but as I've used it more it kind of feels better. It's definitely not as good as the WOOTING 60HE that I have right here. This beats the DrunkDeer G65 with ease. It sounds much better. It does not sound plasticky at all as the G65 does, and overall the feeling is much better, but for $100 I do not consider that this is bad at all. Of course it does lose heavily for my Keychron Q1 Pro that I also have. The typing experience is just insane with that compared to this one. But yeah, the overall feeling is that it's very plasticky, the sound is not great, but if you can ignore those things, it's not all bad. The keyboard has what they call tray-mounted shock absorption, and basically what it means that these feet have some give in to them. I'm not sure what I overall think about it. I do not feel it at all when I'm typing, but when I really press down on the keyboard, then I can feel that it does give in a little bit, but it's pretty much a nothing burger for me in terms of typing feel at least. So I for sure would not buy this keyboard for the typing experience and not really even for the gaming performance. For that you basically got the WOOTING, the SteelSeries Apex Pros, which provide even more responsive configuration options than this one. But for the price, like if you consider that it's $100, it's a decent price for a keyboard with these features. So if you are looking for something that has a solid budget option, then this might definitely be the one for you. I wouldn't recommend for you to get this either way. I still would want for you to maybe save a little bit of more money and get the WOOTING 60HE. It will likely last you longer. I'm not sure how long living this is going to be, how long it will last, but yeah, I trust WOOTING much more in that regard. Overall, cheap-ish kind of keyboard with some nice features. Not too bad, not too great. That's basically it for this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it and see you in the next one.